Trump's proposed Board of Peace, built around heads of state, including Russia, is structurally ill-suited to end the Israeli-Hamas war and to govern post-war Gaza in any sustainable way. At a press conference at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Trump unveiled his newly formed Board of Peace to end the Israeli-Hamas war. During a press conference in the White House, he explained that he created the board because, quote, "the United Nations should have settled every one of the wars that I settled. I never went to them. I never even thought to go to them," end of quote. He claimed that the Board of Peace will be dealing with ending the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza. He invited many heads of states to join the board and threatened to impose heavy tariffs on the countries of those who refused. Paradoxically, he also invited Russian President Putin to join the pack. Even a cursory review of the board structure, its executive's makeup, role, and responsibilities makes it glaringly clear that he placed himself at the forefront of everything from cooperation to ultimate decision-making. He basically codified U.S. dominance as long as he ran it. He granted himself the authority to veto any decision he did not like, to invite or remove any board member, to approve the agenda, to designate his successor, and even dissolve the board entirely. Furthermore, he reserved a central role for himself even after leaving the presidency. Shortcomings of the board and its structure. In more than one way, the creation of this board dissolves the American-built post-war international system and builds a new one with himself at the center. And while Trump is striving to consolidate authoritarian power domestically, he now wants to project himself on the international stage as if he were an emperor presiding over a board composed of largely heads of states. Although board's members can have their say, they are nevertheless structurally subordinated to him. No seat for the primary stakeholders. The Board of Peace and the parallel Gaza Executive Board are designed to sit above a technocratic Palestinian committee with no Palestinian political representative given a seat at the top table. Despite their being primary stakeholders, Hamas is required to disarm without specifying how and to withdraw from administrative governance. The Palestinian Authority is relegated to an apolitical managerial role, which in effect produces the long-standing problem of trying to impose solution over Palestinians instead of negotiating with them. This has repeatedly undermined past peace frameworks and offers no pathway towards sustainable regional or world peace. Conflict of interest. The board is chaired by Trump himself, with membership effectively bought via a $1 billion permanent seat fee, creating apparent conflicts between profits, prestige, and peacemaking. Russia, Israel, Gulf monarchies, and others who have direct stakes in arms sales, regional influence, and energy routes are not neutral guarantors, but interested parties likely to instrumentalize Gaza for their own strategic agendas. colonial-style tranship. The architecture explicitly envisions international figures and heads of state supervising Gaza's reconstruction, security, and governance, effectively turning Gaza into a protectorate administered by external powers. Human rights advocates and regional observers are already criticizing this as a colonial-style tranship that denies genuine sovereignty, which is already generating local resistance, delegitimizing the arrangement, and providing ideological fuel for militant spoilers. Israel and regional objections. Israel leadership has publicly objected to the composition and design of the Gaza bodies. It is enraged over the role of Turkey and Qatar, forcing Netanyahu to distance himself from aspects of the plan even while joining the board under pressure from Trump. Nevertheless, the Israeli government views key members of the board and mechanism as a hostile or at odds with its security principles. Israel will either hinder implementation or hollow it in practice, turning the board into an arena for intra-allied conflict rather than conflict resolution. Great power rivalry inside the board. Ironically, the board anticipates concurrent participation by rivals such as Russia, the EU, and US-aligned states, while at the same time Moscow is resisting US-backed peace terms in Ukraine and leveraging Middle East crisis to weaken Western influence. This arrangement invites the board to become another theater of great power competition, where Russia, Hungary, Belarus, and others can obstruct or dilute measures that do not serve their broader geopolitical interest. This is not to speak, of course, about the widespread concern and suspicion among European leaders about Putin's adversarial relations at the table, which is a recipe for discord and prevents concrete action. Unclear legal basis. Another big hole in Trump's board is its framing as an alternative to and possible replacement for the United Nations without any legal foundations, universal membership, or binding authority under international law. A self-selected club by Trump's of mostly invited heads of state, tied to a particular U.S. administration and anchored in a significant financial contribution, lacks the procedural legitimacy to impose security arrangements, adjudicate dispute, or credibly guarantee Palestinian rights over the long term, to which Trump pays no heed at all. Overambitious and specified mandate. The board's responsibilities have already expanded from supervising a Gaza ceasefire to a broad charter promoting stability and resolving global conflicts, which is ostentatious and will never come to fruition, while indicating mission creep before it even begins. Such a variable mandate with multiple overlapping structures, Board of Peace, Gaza Executive Boards, Founding Executive Boards, is almost guaranteed to generate bureaucratic turf wars, paralysis, and incoherence, particularly once crises beyond Gaza compete for attention and resources. To be sure, this is just another Trump's stance, always pretending that he's the only one who can come up with out-of-the-box ideas. Like many of his initiatives, this so-called border peace one falls into the same category: transactional and irreversible. It's a grandiose idea that cannot be sustained structurally, has no enforcement capability, and relies on a contradictory algorithm to allow it to fulfill its mission, which in any case remain open-ended and unrealistic.